Hello and welcome to the Enadian Plenary Session of the 3rd of August 2020. I'm joined with me with the Prime Minister of Enadia, the members of the House, and as well as interested parties that they joined us as always to our open sessions. Today we're going to be having a short session. We will begin with a motion in the House, which I am the proposer, the official proposal, the motion, and then we will be moving up to a bill that will be presented by the government of Enadia. With that being said, hello everybody, I hope you can hear me all right. Everybody can hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
lovely.
You're cutting out a bit, but...
Perfect. All right. Well, with that being said, I will be moving then to the motion of the House of the 3rd of August of 2020. With that being said, this House, noting the horrific shooting attack in El Paso, Texas a year ago, today stands in solidarity with the families of the 23 victims killed and extends its deepest sympathies to all those who were affected in the tragedy, while noting the heroic efforts of the emergency services in their response. With that being said, the floor is open for immediate voting, and we will be hosting and holding a minute of silence. You may cast your votes now. Four ayes casted so far. I'm welcoming the next, the proxy members as well to vote.
They're a bit slow. Oh, there we go.
No worries. With 9 ayes, the motion has passed, and the floor will be. We will be moving to a minute of silence. The floor will be commenced once again around, basically, my local time 9:14 in 1 minute from now. Thank you for your silence in memory of the El Paso victims. With that being said, we will be moving to the next business of the House, which is the Oaths of Office Bill, and who will be the presentative of Article 1, 2 and 3?
I'll present that.
Alrighty, Article 1. Alright, the floor is yours, Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Basically, with the government taking stock, I need to call that magistrate election, which was proceeding currently. We realised that the oaths of office for Enadia have not actually been codified into law, and therefore we felt it appropriate to clarify that moving forward. Therefore, we have introduced the oaths of office bill to the House of Commons, which simply states those the oaths for the respective branches of government and their roles, as we feel that is appropriate and necessary moving forward. I don't think there'll be any procedural objections to that clarification, but I am happy to take questions on it. Apart from that, I commend this bill.
Thank you. With that being said, the floor is open for the members to make comments or raise questions to the Prime Minister. Mr. Cheshire?
Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just wondering if either yourself or the government could provide the text of the bill to the Parliament.
The text is available as always in the Enadian forums.
I've not currently got access to the forums.
No worries at all. I will be posting the bill directly into the Parliament channel for your discretion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Dear members, the House is still up and you can raise your questions, your commentary, etc. to the Prime Minister. Alright, with no objections then, I believe that we can go to a general vote. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you so much. With that being said, you may cast your votes now.
List them, Kriegs.
Mr. Kriegs, you have to list your proxies. The bill has reached quorum, which means in that occasion the bill is considered passed in Parliament. Any other business of the House today? Yeah, Mr. Cheshire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to ask if the Prime Minister could, for the benefits of the House, lay out the primary criteria in which using in their search for a new electoral commissioner.
As outlined in the Constitution, it is the prerogative of the Prime Minister to appoint an individual he sees fit to the role. That answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Alright, any other questions to the floor? Before moving to possibly statements from the government?
I'm just going to quickly repost that with the eyes and delete the other one.
Thank you. Alright. Alright, thank you everybody. With that being said, the floor will be open now for the Prime Minister and his cabinet to make their general statements and continue with the business of the House. Prime Minister?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is one further statement from me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is one further statement from me tonight. I just want to apologise for a brief hiatus that was there for about 2 week period. I've been quite busy. So we're back to full speed ahead now. We are back on track. I was touring the United Kingdom most weekends the last couple of weeks, so that is my excuse. And as I mentioned to you in private, there is some stuff going on at home, which I am working on, but I'm not going to go into detail that that's private. Apart from that, though, government priorities remain the same: delivering for the needy people, blah blah blah, etc. We have moved forward, and I have looked into that request I received about the High Court position. I will clarify for those people seeking judicial employment. The best way to do it is to file a standard citizen job application on forums, or proceed to stand for election when a magistrate position is open. Traditionally, I'm trying to avoid appointing people directly to the High Court who haven't had some experience of serving before in Enadian, because I think that position, because of the length of tenure, is one that should be coveted and quite valued. That being said, so I would encourage any individuals to seek election for magistrate office first, and then qualify to the bar via the MBA. Now the standards for that, to qualify for that, I will clarify. You write to the Attorney General or the Solicitor General, and they will forward your request onto the Ministry, and the Ministry will approve you or reject you, therefore, as under the terms of the Bar Association, which is outlined clearly. The Committee for the Bar Association now realise there's a problem with that, because all current cases in there are members of the House, or members of the government, so we're seeking redress on that quickly. So we should have that resolved by the end of next week, after a bit of a chat with some colleagues who are eligible for the position. Apart from that, I will take questions on that matter from the floor if there are any, or I will
Thank you,
simply
Prime
refer your
Minister. The
inquiries
floor
to the relevant
is
departments.
open. One more time for questions
I
from
commend this
the
statement
members
to
of the House. You may raise your hands, or we can move to the next statement. Do we have any other statements, by the way?
We have one from the Secretary of State.
Lovely. All right. The floor will be
we
given
have one
to
from
the Secretary of State.
Uh,
Homeland Affairs, Mr. Lincoln. But if we have no questions whatsoever. Yes, I
think Cheshire's
noticed.
got-
Honourable
Cheshire's
member,
got a
the floor is
question.
yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to, first of all, welcome the Prime Minister's statement, and furthermore, just ask for a quick clarification with regards to the Bar Committee, because as the bill laying out the process for appointment of a bar states, the Bar Committee must be chaired by the Minister of Justice. However, I was just wondering if there is any sort of procedures in place wherein the Minister of Justice is unavailable for a hearing, if we will be putting into place some sort of statutory instrument or other form of secondary legislation to enable for the Attorney General or Solicitor General to act as chairman of the Bar Committee wherein the Minister of Justice is not available to attend.
The simple answer to the question is yes, the government is looking at that. That is part of the redress legislation we are bringing forward next week.
Short, quiet and clear. Without being said... Thank you. That was quite clear. With that being said, the Secretary of State, Mr. Lincoln, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to give the House a quick update on the citizenship. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to give the House a quick update on the citizenship registry. So there have been quite a few new additions to the registry based upon the new nations that have entered Enadian in the last few weeks, which I think obviously represents the latter end of the recruitment drive that the government and the technical department worked on. Right now, the figure is getting close to 700 nations in Enadian. However, I expect that that figure to fluctuate because there has been an activity drop. In the nation states side on the region, it's
300.
300 actual nations, of course. The figure will fluctuate because a lot of CT'd or a lot of nations have left because of the activity drop. We'd hope to address this by upping our own activity. Things have been busy for us recently with personal stuff, as the Prime Minister mentioned. But a trend that I'd like to inform the House of is that a huge majority of the nations so far that are on the nation states region are mainly residents. And I think I put that down to two things. One of them is that the WA has kind of moved in a direction we don't really like. I think we've acknowledged that before. And I think a lot of people are seeking waivers or things of that nature. And also nation states of the game is somewhat dropping off a little bit as well. But my aim, I think the government will be to keep activity going and recruit new people to make an idiot, an exception to that trend.
Right, okay, thank you. The floor is open one more time for statements. Mr. Cheshire, do you have a question or do you want to adjourn? I'm just clarifying this right now. Lovely, alright, you may raise your question.
Mr. Speaker.
It does.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just hoping to ask the Secretary of State if, given the recent behaviour of the World Assembly, which I do believe the Prime Minister, the Speaker and the Government have made, it's perfectly clear their opinion of, with the World Assembly taking drastic steps to interfere in nations wherein it does not have any jurisdiction, if the Government plans to make any methods to advance and expedite waivers so as to help boost our citizenry numbers without there being as much delay due to the World Assembly very much becoming a less than popular institution amongst the residents and citizens of the United Kingdom.
Alright, Secretary? Thank you.
What I would say is that I think we are looking at that issue. We want to make it more flexible so people who maybe do have a WA nation in Enadian can then just get a waiver and move the WA nation away. So I think that's an issue we're going to look at, especially the WA moves away from Enadian's interests.
Right, okay. Alrighty, the Prime Minister.
Sorry, it was indeed.
Thank you, Mr. I just wanted to extend the record about the numbers. Thank you, Mr. I just wanted to extend the record about the numbers. Obviously, the image, and I will just I'd like to set the record straight that we currently have in Enadia 371 nations, as the Secretary pointed out, I think, in his statement. The majority of those are resident, not citizen criteria at the moment. However, as the Secretary mentioned, in the Citizenship Bill, we are looking at the question of what WA redress with the problems that it is presenting. In addition to that, I would just like to put on the record that the records are being updated, and the back database of nations that have left Enadia will also be.
Yeah, if I can add something else.
But the WA program, obviously, we'd like to have as many WA nations as possible. However, with the increasingly left-wing creep, I think is the best way to describe it, of the WA on certain issues that are absolutely within the individual nation's choice historically, which is abortion legislation and things like that. We will have to look at that going forward, and I know the Speaker has been leading a redress campaign on that himself in his position as the WA delegate, which I'm quite pleased to see, and I look forward to some immediate pushback in legislative terms in the World Assembly.
Mr. Exor, the Secretary of Foreign Affairs.
Yes, so this is a statement not on from my side, but on behalf of the Right Honourable Sidonia, the Secretary, about the roleplay, because you guys stay for roleplay about the roleplay, because you guys were talking about activity, and this is kind of pertinent to that. So, I'm not sure how much this has been addressed during my absence, but the roleplay has been restarted as we promised before the election. And generally speaking, things are going well. We've instituted a couple of changes. We took our lessons that we learned from last season and a number of other roleplays that we've all been part of, and put it together to create the best role-playing experience we could possibly create. Now, obviously, people, but there's differing opinions on how to run the army. But generally speaking, we have tried to make sure that everybody, at least in some way, is represented in the method that the Army's administration has done. Which means that the roleplay is now active and people are enjoying doing the roleplay. It's becoming a rather active component of the region, I'd say. And so this is a general thing for all citizens, that if you want to join, we still have a lot of space for new people to join. We're also going to be going on a bit of a thing just to manage the levels of inactivity of some nations, and so there will be land freeing up for you to claim.
Thank you. The Secretary of Homeland Affairs, Mr. Lincoln, you had a statement to make a moment ago. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just something to add on. I also encourage everyone. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just something to add on. I also encourage everyone to go to the roleplay. Definitely do that. But secondly, to that, currently what I've done now is just to explain the numbers a bit more. Currently, what I've done now is I put all the nations that I know to be in the region, but I'm going to finish that, then go back over it, and then take out the ones that have left. So I'm not quite aware of that, of who's left. Largely inflated what I gave, but yes, that's why the figure is largely inflated what I gave. But
well, 700 nations is not
that's all I wanted to say.
Bit inflated. It's actually quite inflated. Sorry, Homeland.
This is a very early. All the ones were removed. Oh yes, this is a very
early. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to make a quick statement to the House from my position as the Solicitor General of Enadia, which is that I would just like to quickly thank all members of Enadia for following the law and keeping my job very dry and uninteresting, as that is how I like it to be. So I would just like to thank all the citizens of Enadia who abide by our laws.
Okay, well, thank you. We're extremely delighted to help you out as much as we can. Any further business of the House today that need to be addressed? Hearing none. Okay. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you a pleasant day. And some of you, I know that you're on your holidays, so enjoy them as well. Take care. Bye bye.